Good evening, Fernwood. It's your TV pal, Neil, and it's time for some more late-night variety madness with another episode of Fernwood Tonight. If you're just seeing my face for the first time, this is a reaction show where we watch the show together, and then afterward we talk about it because talking is fun. If that sounds like it's your bag, then please stick around. Also, if you're a person who feels like they have the means to help support the channel, please visit Patreon, where you get early access to episodes. Later on, you'll get full episodes of whatever we're shooting in several weeks from now. And also, monthly updates, because I like to make sure you know what's going on. Today we are watching episode 39 from August 25th, 1977. Yesterday we got into some yelling, so let's take a look back. Barth continues his Rating Week's pledge to help out people who haven't fulfilled their American dream, and he calls Mrs. Esther Bonnet, but he is informed by the doctor that Esther would never be available again. And since Tuesday's prize couldn't be awarded, they're pushing their $30 to today's episode. Then we introduce guest Lori Gallagher and her mom. Lori did a number about being happy while her mom played drums. And then from the Fernwood Gun Club, Gilbert Ulysses Nelson is here to help us reduce the crime rates with a program he calls the Kitty Crime Corps. And then we bring on two guests for the next segment. William W.D. Bud Price and Sylvia Miller are here to hash out their differences. Bud has his knowledge of how alien encounters would work, while Sylvia Miller's lived experience is quite different. They can't agree on what a spaceship would be shaped like, and Sylvia Miller is concerned that her phone number may be on men's rooms around the universe. That is where the episode ends, everyone. They bought a pizza to help calm things down, but I'm not sure that worked. It's now time for us to start this Thursday episode.
From Fernwood, Fernwood Tonight, 30 minutes of very remarkable entertainment coming to you almost live with your host for tonight, Mr. Barth Kimball. Tonight, Barth's guest will be Mr. Rockmondo, who wants to fight everybody. Mr. Tony Roletti, who will not give up singing no matter what the public says. Harrison Edwards to tell you why his moon is blue. And Happy Kine and the Mirth Makers. And me, I'm Jerry Hubbard. And now here's your host and mine, Mr. Barth Kimball.
Thank you.
What a night. What an audience.
Thank you very much. Thank you, folks. Thank you, Gerald.
And what an announcement. I think I outdid myself.
Probably. Thank you so much, and welcome to Fernwood Tonight. The good-looking penguin talking to you is myself, Barth Kimball. Maybe a little more formal than usual, but still loose-lipped enough to be fun. Let me explain the duds here. As you can see, Jerry and Happy and the Mirth Makers and everyone here are all dolled up. The reason is simple. We love you, and we wanted to do something special for you. So tonight we have, I think, an extra special show, and a show this extra special sort of, well, I guess deserves clothing that's a little extra special, don't you, Jerry? So just think of this tuxedo as my personal exclamation point on what we have planned for tonight, which is exactly how I described it to Al Burdick at Fernwood's Formals. Thank you for your generosity, Al. And next time, Al, try to remember to vacuum the rice out of the pockets. Just kidding.
Barth, aren't you going to tell them there's another important reason why tonight is so special? Tonight is rating night out in TV land. It didn't slip your mind, did it?
Rating night?
TV rating
Tonight's
night.
ratings?
Yes.
You're kidding.
You didn't know that?
No. Oh, wow. Thanks for reminding me, Gerald. I was so preoccupied with assembling this spectacular show, I completely forgot all about it being ratings night. Isn't that funny?
Well, as long as the cat's out of the bag, let's tell the people a little bit about how this crazy business works. During the course of the evening, the TV rating service people in the Tri-County area will be calling the Fernwood homes and asking them certain questions about their viewing habits. And you Fernwoodians hopefully will say things like, we never miss the Fernwood Tonight show, or I always watch Fernwood Tonight, or boy, I really love that Jerry Hubbard.
No, Jerry,
why isn't he hosting the show, or whatever the feeling moves him to say. And Why don't you pick up a phone, call a friend, ask him to join the fun, tune in the show tonight, and maybe answer that survey.
That'd be great. On second thought, though, why tie up your phone?
That's right, all right.
Because you never know when someone might be, trying to get through to you, trying to ask you something more important, like, what TV show are you watching? Instead, why don't you do this? Why don't you just go to your windows, just like in Network, I think you all saw that. Just open them up and just yell to your neighbors, I'm mad as hell, and Barth Kimball's got a great show tonight, so watch it. Go ahead. No, really, go ahead. I'll wait. Just go to your windows and yell to your friends, okay? Give them some time. Some of the people have windows that stick a little bit, or...
Well, after this winter, too, and the windows are hard to get open.
The swelling and all that. We'll just
a lot of people put those locks on to prevent burglaries.
Sure, they have to unlock it, so we'll give them a second here. Nice and loud. Nice and loud, okay?
Wonder if we could hear it if we listen real quiet.
Okay, I think that's good enough. You just wouldn't want any of your friends to miss out on tonight's show, that's for sure, which will begin right now.
Thanks to those of you who shouted, and shame on those of you who didn't.
And don't you feel like a whole bunch of new eyes are on us now, Joe? It's wonderful. Weren't the Nielsen families watching?
I sure hope so.
Me too. We had planned a special, very special thing in the spirit of specialness here, a sports feature really for you fans tonight. We were going to have an obnoxious wrestler named Rock Mondo. He was going to come on and fight 5 people from the audience, maybe even some of the women. No, some of them would be men. Unfortunately, Rock threw his back out while he was warming up. It was kind of an accident. Well, not really an accident, because Rock was showing Jerry and I how he had thrown his back out before and did it again. It was Yep. It was how many times?
About 12 times.
12 times he's done that.
He's got a bad back. If I were him, I'd throw it out and get a new one.
Good, Jerry. Anyway,
that's what he's trying to do.
I'm sure of it. Anyway, he's lying there right now like an oyster waiting for a paramedic. And I just say tough beans.
That's right.
Too bad, Rock. Meanwhile, the rest of us will be right back while you're lying on yours, okay? Stay with us. Thanks, Happy. Well, we're back. Listen, I feel kind of sorry about that sports thing. Jerry and I were talking here, and it's a shame we couldn't pull it off for you, because sports are pretty important for us here at the Channel 6 family. That's for darn sure.
And the sports fans here in Fernwood have already had a disappointment, because we're not rerunning those games of the week.
That's right.
As they were for a couple of months. That was a big favorite. But too many of the viewers down at the Capri Lounge were losing on bets they were making.
That's right. They'd have some ringer will have seen the original or read the paper on the thing, load the bets, and then these poor guys would just lose their shirts. It's not very pretty. But at any rate...
Incidentally, I think they're going to start rerunning some of the better news shows from last year here.
Which is news in itself.
Yeah.
Right there. As I said before, it's not very pretty. Well, I'll tell you what is. It's a lady we asked to come here from our own Channel 6 family, our sportscaster. Please welcome Jane Tiffany.
All right.
They look beautiful. That jogging outfit was lovely, but this is just incredible.
Thank you.
I can't believe how quickly you changed, too.
I do everything fast.
Oh, boy. It's a sign of, I guess, of a really beautiful woman that you can get changed that quickly. You have some of these ladies, they leave poor Jerry waiting for 4.5 hours out in the truck. Be down in a minute. I've seen it happen. It's great. How is old Rock Lardo over there now? He's going to be all right?
Oh, he's okay, Barth. He just has a broken ego.
Speaking of that, let's move along, because this is rating night, and guess who we have? Another special guest here. Let's bring on Fernwood's singing favorite, Tony Roletti.
I've got to be me. I've got to be
Tony!
Wow, this is a surprise.
Barcy, how you doing?
Which goes first? That, and then...
Oh, hurry up.
I never know what to say. Tony Roletti.
Those are my people.
Except on my show.
Look great, Tony.
You
New
look
toupee?
fabulous.
Oh, yeah.
That's fantastic.
Got about 40 of them now.
Wow.
Heck of a guy. You're still giving those shows out there, 10:30 and was 8?
Oh, yeah, 8:30, 9:30, 2 big shows every night at the Vacation Inn up on Highway 89. Come on down and have some fun, huh?
Yeah.
Tables are always available for Tony's shows.
That's fantastic.
Incidentally, a little compliment here. My grandfather was in town recuperating from liver surgery. Had a liver removed. And the doctor recommended he get away for the weekend, avoid any excitement whatsoever.
Absolutely.
Recommended he come down and see your show. He had a whale of a time. He really enjoyed it.
And they all do.
Just what the doctor ordered.
Yeah.
I should also say, you see Tony here as Mr. Merrymaker and singer and good times and everything. He's got a heart. He's got a heart that big. I swear, it's incredible. Because she said your grandfather was it that had the liver surgery. He was down there.
87 years old.
Tony just wouldn't leave him alone. You were terrific. You went over there, bought him drink after drink after drink after drink. Got him up on the dance floor and everything. It was just terrific. How's he doing?
Right back in the hospital. He's not doing well, though. They say it's 50-50. I think he'll pull through with,
Well,
with a heart like he's got.
Yes, sir. Well, no liver. Got to have heart. Oh, that's great. So
Well, he never did like liver as a kid, so I guess it's paying off now. It's,
really?
tables are turned on him. Am I going to hear that down there on the stage at the Vacation Inn? Am I going to hear that?
You know it.
Tony, that's
Hey, after all, if we can't kid each other, who can we kid?
Tony, what the heck are you doing here? Who let you?
Well, I tell you, Barth, I was about ready to do my 2 shows at the Vacation Inn.
Yep.
And I heard some nut yelling something about Barth Gimbel's got some great show tonight.
Well?
And I figured that's impossible. How could Barth have a great show without his old friend Tony Roletti?
Don't do that.
Hey, I'm only kidding. After all, if we can't kid each other, who can we kid, huh?
Tony, let me say this. Tony did not disappoint that audience. He brought him down here in his car, too, didn't he? In the audience. And driving back after the show, and going to do a dynamite show.
Oh,
Wow.
you should see Tony's excitement there. He's up on stage. He goes, oh, another car pulled up.
He will stop his performance if someone is pulling into the parking lot and is going to come in.
Well, it screws up the lighting.
That's right.
Headlights.
Absolutely.
He's been known to start his show over from the beginning.
Boy,
too,
Tony. I can't tell you what this gesture of yours means to me. Wow. I have a couple of gestures I'd like to give to you in return. But I know you got to get going. I know you don't want to disappoint
Au
those folks.
contraire, you're not going to get rid of old Tony until he meets the doll, if you know what I mean.
I'm sorry. How stupid of me. Tony Roletti, Jerry Hubbard.
Are we going to hear that down at the Vacation Inn?
If you ever forget your fantastic. We'll be right back after these words. Don't go. Thank you, Happy. Happy Kind, the Mirth Makers. For you news and public affairs fans who might be watching tonight on Ratings Night, let's hope, you are no doubt aware of the many, many people who have lost good, respectable jobs because of their private sex habits. We recently had a similar case with someone right here in Fernwood. He's a former school teacher in Fernwood who lost his job, sadly enough, for lewd behavior. He's appealed his case to all the way up to the Supreme Court, where a final decision will be made probably when, Tuesday?
I don't know.
Well, soon, we hope. Mr. Harrison Edwards. Well, you look great. You certainly don't look lewd.
Oh.
Welcome to the show, Mr. Edwards.
That's Dr. Edwards. I have a PhD in American history.
Now, why would you want to mix American history with medical practice?
Is he serious?
We may never know, actually, Mr. Edwards, Dr. Edwards. Tell us, let's not beat around the bush, why were you fired?
Oh, well, why don't I just read you the charges?
Did you have them?
Yes, and I quote. On the evening of December 4th, 1973, Harrison Edwards did violate Section 404B of the Civil Code in that he did willfully expose part of his anatomy within the city limits of Fernwood.
You ought to be locked away in the Who Scout. I mean, Doctor.
Doesn't really tell us much, Dr. Edwards. What exactly did you do?
I mooned Fernwood.
You mooned Fernwood?
You mooned Fernwood.
From one end of town to the other.
You know, that's something I always wanted to do, but I just never had the guts to do it.
It's good you didn't, Jerry. You would have been recognized immediately.
Not if I'd had a mask on. A lot of people say they never forget a face, but that's ridiculous.
Right, Jerry. I think for the benefit of those who don't know actually what mooning is and why we're having such a good time up here, it's the act of exposing your posterior anatomy to public view, usually through the window of a moving vehicle like a car or a truck or a bus.
But very rarely an airplane.
Right, Jerry.
I would like to explain. I had just gotten my Ph.D., and the head of the history department and myself went down to the Capri Lounge to celebrate.
Mm-hmm.
Now, as a rule, I don't drink at all. Nothing at all. And the next thing I knew, we were driving around Fernwood with my you-know-what hanging out the rear window.
That was the right window anyway, wasn't it?
You admit it. So what's your appeal all about?
Barth, I don't believe that my behavior off the job has any bearing on my qualifications to doing my job.
Well, they were probably obviously concerned that you might actually moon your class. Or you might actually influence their minds by advocating mooning as a lifestyle. Of course, they're probably right. Maybe this whole mooning business is getting out of hand. I understand there's this Korean guy, Reverend Moon, who has a whole religion based.
You want to just butt out?
No, but I think it's very unfair. Now, Barth here did a lot more than just moon over Miami, and look at him, he's sitting here, he's got his own television show. I mean, I think the worst that should have been done to you, maybe you should have just been spanked and put to bed without supper. And would your face have been red?
Used to play without a helmet. Well, it's really good luck to you with your appeal. What happens if you lose? What do you do?
I'll take my fight to the streets.
It's a lot of nerve on your part. Here you pull a back job, and now you want your job back.
Well, Mr. Edwards, I'm afraid that with the odds are against you in this appeal, to be honest. You were caught, I would say, red-handed. That's not quite exactly true. People heard you hollering. I'd say, to use the old expression, your rear end is in a sling on this one. Had it been in a sling originally, you wouldn't have been charged for mooning. Maybe you can think about that next time. Good luck to you.
And keep smiling.
Check me if I'm wrong. When it's up against a window, it's a pressed ham. Am I right? We'll be right back after these words. Don't go away.
We're just kidding you, Doctor. You know,
Thank you, Happy. You know, one thing you regular viewers know about me, I hope, is that I care about you, your hopes, and your dreams. That's why, since the beginning of this week, we've been giving away $10 a night for the best unfulfilled American dream. At least we've been doing our damnedest to give it away. It's not our fault that our first lucky dreamer sent in her dream with no name or return address, and our second dreamer passed away and is now dreaming in the big sleep. So we've added $10 to our dream jackpot, which is, as of tonight, $30. And no way we're not giving it away tonight. We've got dreamers by the hundreds here, right here, and you can believe me, we've got the money. But why believe me, really? Simply because I take the pains to dress in my finest clothing night after night because I think you deserve it? Simply because I take the trouble to be here 10 minutes early to make sure that every show has that we know what we're doing and we're proud of it quality? Simply because I'm blonde? Apparently, these reasons aren't enough for some local crackpots who've been saying that our Great American Dream Contest is somehow rigged. I don't know how something can be rigged if nobody's winning, huh? All I can think of is maybe they think we don't have the money. As a matter of fact, we do. But why believe me? Simply because I take the pains to dress in my finest clothing night after night, because I think you deserve it. We've got the money and we'll prove it. Because banks don't lie. They're not allowed to. That's the law. On the telephone line right now is the vice president in charge of new accounts at the Fernwood branch of the First Bank of Fernwood, Mr. Clarence Robert. Yes, the First Bank of Fernwood, whose motto is, we're just around the corner when you're just around the block. Good evening, Mr. Robert.
Good evening. Who's this?
This is Barth Gimble, the star of Fernwood Tonight.
Oh, well, we're closed.
No, Mr. Robert. Barth Gimble, remember? We arranged this. This is the TV show called.
Oh, yes. I was supposed to tell you that you have at least 30...
Yes, sir, you're right. I wonder if you'd be so good as to tell us, not only myself and the people here, but everyone in the sound of my voice, whether or not my personal checking account contains a credit balance of at least $30 US.
Well, yes, sir, Mr. Gimble, sir. You certainly do, sir. With $11 to spare.
Okay, the exact amount. Exact amount doesn't really matter. That's fine. What is it, 4138?
To the penny, sir.
Okay. In other words, I could write a check for $30 right now and have nothing to fear, right?
According to our records, sir, absolutely nothing.
Okay, thank you. That's great.
Unless, of course, you've written some checks that haven't yet cleared.
You have Ohio Bell for $23.88?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you've got Phil's Fashion Funwear where the styles are always half off.
Yes, sir.
That's it. Yeah, then I must have 4138 in my account.
Well, minus the $5 you said that I'd be getting.
Oh, thank you, sir. Thank you, and I'll see you in the morning about that.
Okay, bye-bye.
Well, there we have it. Or at least I have it. And you're going to get it. Thanks to First Bank of Fernwood, where you're just around the corner when we're just around the block. So we've got the money. We've certainly got the entries. And, I'm really getting pushed here for time. Hopefully we'll have enough time to choose a winner later in the show. Right now, Happy is telling me it's time to hear from our own Jerry Hubbard with the good word about the folks at First Bank of Fernwood, where they're not too big to think small.
Do as First Bank of Fernwood's familiar firstie here does, and put a pretty picture where your mouth is. First Bank of Fernwood, First Bank in Fernwood, to offer scenic checks depicting the historic first branch of the First Bank of Fernwood. It's right on the front where you sign your name, unless, of course, you're endorsing. So make your first stop tomorrow the first bank you see, if you see First Bank of Fernwood first.
Well put. Thank you very much, Jerry. All right, now let's give away that $30, okay? Oh, no, come on. Oh, boy. This is embarrassing. This is...
A lot of disappointed people out there.
Well, we don't have, like, nothing? $40 in the jackpot tomorrow night. Send in your dreams. See you then. Thank you.
Also appearing on tonight's show were Troas Hayes as Jane Tiffany, Rock Riddle as Rock Mondo, Phil Kirkenbauer as Tony Roletti, and John Miranda as Harrison Edwards.
Well, ratings week is coming along, and that means that Jerry and Barth are going to be wearing their finest tuxedos. We put off the prize award until later in the episode, but it's still happening. I'm glad that I didn't get these out of order. in the first slot, Rockmondo, but unfortunately he has thrown his back out, so he doesn't get to fight anybody from the audience. Apparently that was the plan. Jane Tiffany comes back, apparently simply to remind us that she exists, because she doesn't really say much at all. And then we get a lot of that Tony Roletti energy, which is just, it's indescribable. It's not like anything I can remember in any other show. He's just a showman, and he is definitely doing the thing. I really enjoy the chemistry that Tony Roletti has with our normal crew, Barth and Jerry in this case, and he certainly wants to make a little bit of an impression on Ms. Jane Tiffany. Then we bring out Mr. Harrison Edwards, or rather Dr. Harrison Edwards, a former school teacher who was fired for mooning. This reminds me that in the 1970s there was a trend of streaking that had happened in America. It really got popular in 1974, so a few years earlier than this. Mooning would be mildly less, you're only showing your butt in the case of mooning. I mean, it is still exposing yourself, and we have in Mary Hartman, Grandpa Larkin first was introduced as the Fernwood Flasher. So, yeah, I mean, it still is, in a one-on-one situation, still is seen as a form of assault. I think, in this case, Dr. Edwards got drunk and revealed himself to the country. But, in the 1970s, streaking was a really different thing. It was more like a fun little thing that everyone was doing for a little while. And here, Dr. Edwards is mooning. So, that's the overall connection, but I'm reminded of later teachers who would lose their jobs for lewd behavior because they were formerly in the adult film industry. And I always feel like there should be a way to separate your past life from what your current career is. To be honest, I am a proponent of sex workers' rights, and if you're not in the industry anymore, I mean, even if you are, if you're doing a good job as a teacher, I don't know that should affect you. There's always the potential that someone could discover it, and that could become a really big distraction. But I don't know. I feel like there should be a way to compartmentalize your life a little bit. But that's the difficulty with sex work, that, once it becomes public, people will judge you. That's not what happens with Dr. Edwards here, but that's where we are. And then we come back to the prize of the week, the prizes that have been mentioned. First, Barth makes sure to confirm that there's actual funds, since rumors have gone around that he doesn't have the money, therefore he's rigged the contest. But the banker confirms, the First Bank of Fernwood, I believe it is, confirms that there is at least $40 in there, up until the $5 that was offered to the banker to be on the phone. And unfortunately, time runs out before they can give away that $30. So tomorrow, we're sure $40 will be awarded this ratings week. We will see. That's what we had time for this episode. So now it's time to address the topic of the week. We have been talking this week about sex tips as inspired by Mary Hartman's search for her own understanding of herself. We've talked a little bit about some of the characters in the show. For me, the biggest issue with Mary and Tom Hartman's relationship was that they did not know how to communicate. In the early episodes of the series, pretty much through the first half or more of season 1, Tom had what we can only assume was some kind of erectile dysfunction, or he felt pressured every time Mary brought up sex, and that would take him out of the mood. And that is a difficulty, and that's why I assume that it is erectile dysfunction, because usually for men experiencing this, it is the pressure of feeling the need to please someone that can exacerbate it. And meanwhile, from Mary's perspective, it feels like she is being ignored in the relationship. Tom wanting to sort of put all of that on the side, made things very difficult for Mary, who was craving that affection. And that eventually would change. But the first thing was that they just had difficulty communicating. And that's something that we talked about yesterday. So in the case of Tom and Mary, with their difficulty, they really do need to talk first. They really do need to create a space where they understand each other's perspective and honor those perspectives, right? Tom feels, at the very least, he feels pressured. In some ways he might feel bored with their relationship, and Mary feels ignored. And they need to say that. And they need to have a safe place to discuss this. And that's something they never found. By the time Tom and Mary's sex life gets better, it's not exactly stated how. The storyline that we may discuss tomorrow, it doesn't necessarily change. The relationship between Tom and Mary didn't exactly change. Just Tom had some new information that he was going to apply. We don't specifically learn how because, they weren't going to talk about it explicitly on television. But that's where we were. So communication is important. Understanding your own point of view and leaving room for your partner's point of view, and honoring all of the different points of view, that's a really vital piece of your two-party system, right? If your sexual relationship contains two parties. And I think it gets even more complex when there are more parties involved, but I'm not ready to talk about that just yet. So everyone, that's what I've got to say about the topic of the week. I giggled a lot during the episode today. I hope you've got your thoughts and feelings to share, as we often see you do. Thank you so much for watching with me. Thank you so much for leaving your thoughts, feelings, and impressions in the comments. Thank you to my top tier Patreon supporters, because you give me at least a little bit of your month. Thank you so much. Everyone, we will see you tomorrow night.